I have a dream where the powerful and the powerless will sit at the same table, where the haves will see the have-nots, not as burdens, but as brothers, where class will not divide us, but conviction will unite us. I have a dream that the oligarchs will remember we must all eat, that the brown-faced neo-colonialists will remember who they are and whose they are. I have a dream that fraternities will build beyond internal architecture into a national bond, that the walls of design will give way to the bridges of brotherhood, not a fraternity of symbol, but a brotherhood of substance. I have a dream that we remain focused, that we stay in our conviction and remain fearless, that we double down, fortified, to return this Bahamaland to the foundation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is the foundation. Grateful to be with you. Always grateful to be in your company. It is a beautiful day. Hope you guys are good out there, being able to jam in this weather, sort of overcast, and how things are happening right now. I'm always happy to be in your company. Always happy to be with you as we continue to be able to jam and talk about what's going on around the nation. My name is Howard Grant. This is The Foundation, live and in full effect on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon hump day. I hope you guys are getting ready for the weekend, and I'm looking for that sort of a day off. Isn't that crazy that we have to go through all of this? As human beings, we got to go through all of this tribulation on a week-to-week basis and hope to be able to kind of scrunch a little time to ourselves on the weekend. Isn't that crazy? That's bananas to me. But I'm always grateful to be here in this kind of a space, right? That's a little bit of Thelonious in the background, if you know anything about that, right? I hope YouTube don't stop me. Oh, God. Anytime we playing these things, they just anytime. Anyway, they block me in certain regions or whatever the case may be. But we out here. We out here and we're jamming with you on this beautiful day. Grateful to be in your company, like I said to you. I just want you to know that I truly am, and always being able to do that. There's a lot of things making the news today. The Prime Minister's speech yesterday, we can be able to find that and play that for you and be able to speak to you about the Prime Minister being able to take on this kind of a position as to exactly what's happening, and then contrast that to what's happening from a national standpoint, from what's happening from a global standpoint, and what the economists are being able to say about those particular things. So we're looking forward to that. Looking forward to being able to jam in and to dive into those things and be able to talk to you about that. Also, you got to be able to check a couple of things. So make sure you pick up your papers, or whatever them papers is. You make sure you pick up your papers and kind of dive into exactly what's happening around the country, around the world, to find out exactly what's what. All right. So we're here and we're jamming with you. First things first, I want to be able to find the Prime Minister's speech and be able to talk about that. So let's check it out. It should be on one of these social media platforms, or let's just go to the office of the Prime Minister.com and see exactly what they got there and talk about it. Let's see. Now, the Prime Minister came out yesterday for very quick. I think when we were doing this, he was actually setting himself up and being able to talk about that. Right? So let's see. We can look at ZNS first and see if ZNS has that. More than likely they do. Let me see. Okay. Here we go. Office of the Prime Minister, and it was sort of a 9-minute something. It looked like maybe less than 9 minutes. Prime Minister being able to speak about some matters. Yeah, let's see if we can find it.
Good afternoon to all, and thank you for attending this news conference. I know that many Bahamians have been watching the news from the Middle East and wondering what this moment means for the cost of living here at home. The conflict has disrupted one of the world's most important energy transit points, through which roughly a large percentage of global oil and liquefied natural gas shipments normally pass. As a result, international oil prices have surged from around $70 per barrel earlier this year to well over $100 a barrel. One of the sharpest energy price shocks the world has seen since the Ukraine crisis. This increase and the uncertainties about what will come next are putting pressure on oil prices, shipping, and supply chains. For a small island country like ours, that matters. When fuel prices rise in a global market, that has an impact on electricity costs, freight costs, transport costs, and in time, prices at the grocery store. People want to know what this means for their light bill, what it means at the pump, and what it means for food prices. We have been closely monitoring developments, engaging with our energy partners, and planning for various scenarios. I'm grateful to be able to say that policy changes we began to make early in our term have built more resilience into our system. In particular, the major energy reforms we have put in place, which include major efficiencies and improvements, and risk mitigation strategies, have left us in a better shape. That work is still ongoing, but it means we are able to say that your electricity bills, which are lower already from the changes, will not be impacted by the current crisis. This afternoon, I'll meet with the Retailers Association. That meeting is focused on one thing: how we work together ahead of the April 1st VAT reduction on food to bring costs down for Bahamian families. I want to hear their concerns directly, hear what they are seeing in the market, and hear what practical steps can help ensure that relief reaches the people who need it. Because that is the focus. Bringing costs down for Bahamian families is the focus. Giving people relief at the grocery store is the focus. And nothing will get in the way of that. My government will stay close to this issue. We will work with retailers. We will listen carefully, and we will keep pushing for results that people can feel in their everyday lives. The second matter is security. Periods of instability can create pressure for far beyond the original conflict zone. That includes illegal migration, maritime smuggling, and other unlawful activity across this region. So we are watching that situation very carefully in Haiti and Cuba. The Royal Bahamas Defense Force remains on alert, from Great Bahama Bank to Key Sal Bank and to Anguilla Key. We are actively monitoring our maritime space. Our assets remain in the Southern Bahamas, and we are working closely with the United States Coast Guard and other partners. That presence is active, and it is producing results. Over the past few days, RBDF personnel intercepted 57 migrants in the Little Inagua area. 29 were apprehended on Monday, and a further 28 were apprehended on Tuesday morning. They were transported safely to Great Inagua, and investigations are continuing. That operation is a reminder that border security is daily work. It requires investment, coordination, readiness, and strong partnerships. That is why we came to office. When we came to office, we invested in strengthening the capacity of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. We understood that in an uncertain world, A country like ours must have the ability to monitor, respond, and protect its territorial integrity. I've also directed the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Fred Mitchell, to remain engaged with his regional colleagues. I'm in contact with partners as well, because this is a moment for close communication, close monitoring, and steady cooperation. Over the past few years, we have worked hard to restore the Bahamas' standing in the world. We have made serious decisions on energy. We have made serious investments in national security, and we have used diplomacy with purpose, because for a country like ours, diplomatic leadership matters. When uncertainty rises, a country must have strong relationships, a credible voice, and the standing to engage seriously with regional and international partners. We have done the work to strengthen that standing. We have done the work to ensure that the Bahamas is heard, respected, and well-positioned in moments like this. These are serious times, but this is also a time for calm heads, steady hands, and a responsible united team in government. Your government is watching these developments closely, and your government is responding. All options are on the table to protect livelihood of Bahamians. We will keep working to protect families from the worst effects of global instability. We will keep working to secure our borders and our waters. We will keep working with partners at home and abroad, and we will keep making decisions with the country's long-term interest in mind. That is the work before us. That is the work we are doing. I want to thank you.
That is the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Philip Edward Brave Davis, being able to bring us remarks yesterday, taking on the position of being able to talk about what's happening from that perspective and really being able to make a determination as to which direction the government will go as it relates to what's happening abroad. Now, we've already started that conversation long time. We started that conversation from... I want to say it started on February 28th, February 29th. March 1st would have been the Sunday. March 2nd, we started to have that kind of a conversation. But between March 2nd and 3rd, we would have already dove into that conversation with none other than Gowan Bowe. Gowan Bowe, in his particular capacity, as Group CEO of Fidelity Bank, and really being able to talk to those particular issues, but none other than an economist, more specifically, and really being able to bring us information and always being able to wrap in the NDP in there, the National Development Plan. So we had a great conversation, and the conversation had to do with sort of concepts and ideas as whether or not the government is actually understanding that this is a crucial matter. And I don't know whether or not we have the urgency that's lathered on a day-to-day basis as we continue to watch CNN, MSNBC, Al Jazeera, and everything else. As we continue to ingest this information to understand exactly what's going on. We started to have this kind of a conversation from before we were 7 days in. And we started to really talk about the fact that if this continued, we're going to have problems well into the summer. Gowan says, Howard, we're going to have issues well into the end of the year. Energy issues well into the end of the year. He started to take on this kind of position to indicate that there should be some hedging associated with that. Just there should be a proactive approach to be able to say that we're going to be able to make sure that we can lock in. Oil wasn't $80 yet a barrel, right? It wasn't $80 yet a barrel. By the time we had that conversation, the oil was maybe $82 at that particular point. But it kept creeping, right? And now it's well over $100 a barrel. And so you can't lock in for a lower rate. You're behind the eight ball. But the Prime Minister has indicated that his administration has been doing some stuff and really prepared for what is to come. They've actually been setting this up for some time. In so many words, you said that we have been prepared. We anticipated some things, and we have strategically placed ourselves in sort of a proactive position with the assurance that we can get some things done. Okay, excellent. On March 10th, the Tribune News put this information out, and this is a story that says, brace for higher prices at the pump. Brace for higher prices at the pump. Bahamian motorists are being urged to brace for higher prices at the pumps as rising oil costs linked to escalating tensions in the Middle East begin to impact the market, with one retailer warning it's just a matter of time before the cost increase. Vasco Bastian, vice president of the Bahamas Petroleum Retail Association, could not give a timeline where the prices could increase. However, he told the Tribune prices will likely increase when retailers' current inventory runs out. And then he goes on to say, he says, I can tell you that where I sit as a retailer, there will be some minor adjustments in cost. And then he goes on to say, he says, when exactly that cost would come into effect, I don't know until corporate speaks to us and lets us know that, hey, we got a new shipment. We got a new shipment of fuel, and it's going to go up 5 cents or 10 cents or 25 cents or whatever. So hopefully it don't go up that high. But we know consumers can really brace for higher prices. This is March 10th. This was 7 days ago, March 10th, 8 days ago. This is the 19th day of trial, tribulation, turmoil, and tyranny that's raining down upon Israel and Iran, and America is seeking to jockey a position to make a determination as to exactly how these things are going to play out. This is peculiar. This is peculiar as we look at these particular things, as we lay out and look at these things. Yesterday, Western Air I'm looking for the story. This was yesterday. This was yesterday in the newspaper. We would have seen the CEO taking on a position. Let me see if I can find him. Hold on now. Hold on. I know I just saw it yesterday. I don't know if it was in the front of the paper or on the side, but I knew that it was yesterday. Yesterday was Tuesday, so it had to have been between Monday and Tuesday. Let's check out in the business section. Airfare hikes inevitable. Western Air's principal yesterday warned airfare. Let's deal with this. Western Air's principal yesterday warned airfare will inevitably increase after the carrier was told its fuel costs will quickly spike by more than 40% due to the Middle East conflict impact on global oil prices. Shirexia. Is that how we do it? Shirexia. I know it as Rexy. I know Rexy, right? But SHERREXIA, Shirexia, yeah. Rexy rolled the Bahamian-owned airline's president. You know, I got to commend fathers. I got to commend fathers for giving an opportunity to their sons and their daughters. When I look at Darcy, and everything that they were doing, when I look at Adrian Fox, when I look at Roll over at Western Air, These are wonderful. Then you look at the butlers, you look at all these things. Succession is important. You got to leave something for your children. It make no sense all of us be hurting and struggling and poor together. You got to be able to work and do something for your kids. And so I got to commend them. It's an excellent thing, right? So Rex Hero, the Bahamian president, the president, chief executive officer, and general counsel. I can't see the thing all the time. My God, just behave yourself. Anyway, so it goes on to say, it says, message replied to the Tribune business inquiries said that Western Air and also has been told to brace for further aviation cost and increases beyond the initial 40% surge. And given that the fuel in the industry's major cost item, he added that the increased pressure on the air travel costs and accessibility to the destinations such as the Bahamas and is bound to result in high prices. So unfortunately, we have already felt the impact of the global surge in the oil prices. We were advised a week ago that a week ago. They were advised a week ago. Let's just be very clear about this. I didn't tell you this. This was yesterday's, this was yesterday's paper. 1 week ago, which would be the 10th, which was the 10th, the same day that the story came out from Bastia and them, the same day that they were advised that they need to be able to say, says, unfortunately, we already felt the impact of global surges into the oil prices that we were advised a week ago that our jet fuel prices will increase by over 40% in this very short period of time, with additional increase expected in the future. This is what Ms. Rowe disclosed. The fuel is the top operational cost in the airline industry, and this will inevitably result in an increased ticket price. Rising fuel costs placed additional price pressure on travel accessibility for simple fact that it is costlier to provide the service. I think the Prime Minister has done everything that they could do from an electrical standpoint. But you are going to see the prices go up all around you. You're going to see the prices go up all around you. I have this sort of a phobia, this fear, this sort of intuition, this idea that prices may also go. I'm not talking about the VAT. I'm not talking about the taxes associated with this. I'm talking about the raw food item, that we will see prices increase in the supermarkets by the end of April. Yeah. After a month and a half, you give it a month and a half, 6 weeks tops. You give it a month and a half, let this cycle roll out. And for the new things that are coming in, you'll see an increase in tuna, right? You'll see an increase in your sardines, your mackerel, your corned beef. Corned beef is already expensive. I ain't eat corned beef in years. I used to eat corned beef with my father, but that thing is expensive. And my children don't like it so much, and I really stopped eating it, right? And that's what it is. When you look at that and you identify those things, let's just be very clear about this. Let's be very clear about this. Things are going to go up all around you. You're paying $300 and some to be able to get to the States now. You may pay almost $500 just to get to the States from here. When you get to the States and you rent your car rental may not be that expensive, but it will cost you at the pump, right? It will cost you at the pump. And if you're any one of those people who is leave the car empty and then let the people fill it back up, they may cost you a tremendous amount more. And so you need to be able to figure about these particular things. It's just about navigation, I think. This is how I see it. This is just about navigation. How do we move, shuck and jive, and kind of slide out of this? How do we find ourselves in the position? And I'm going to tell you the truth. Deprivation and lack has its perks. I just want to be there. I just want to be one of the persons to say this to you. Deprivation and lack has its perks. It teaches you survivability and survival skills. It teaches you that despite the external environment, how to be able to conduct yourself to ensure that you can find yourself to a space and a position for growth and development for you and your family. That's just what it is. This deprivation that you would have gone through because you've not always had the access to these particular things, you figure out how to do these things. You figure out how to be able to make the proper step, how to be able to move forward, and how to be able to do this. So deprivation is an excellent teacher. Is an excellent teacher for the purposes of being able to identify what you need and what you must. So I think we're going to be okay. These prices ain't going to be okay, but I think we're going to be okay. I know you don't want to hear that. I know you don't want to have that kind of a conversation, but I think we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Okay? It may be hard to kind of swallow, but we're going to be okay. We got to be able to cut back on some things. All the subscriptions that you have with your thing, listen, you got to cut some of those subscriptions off, right? Your entertainment may not be as big. If you're in the hotel industry, you got to be able to brace for a very slow season. You got to be able to brace for the possibility that America starts to be able to push this sort of an idea of a staycation, and finding out how they be able to spend money within their borders, because America will not necessarily have the fuel, the finances to travel the world. They just won't, right? It may even be expensive to do sort of an internal something, right? It may be expensive to do like an internal something. And so you find yourself in this kind of a position where you're traveling between South Florida and the Bahamas, South Florida, the Bahamas, East Coast, the Bahamas, so forth and so on. Maybe you look at something different this year and decide to be able to just drive around. So this may knock on those numbers that Chester Cooper has continued to be able to champion. It may be able to deal with that and be able to talk about it from that particular perspective. And so we're interested to know what the government sees from that particular standpoint. That's it. That's all. I just want to talk like that because successive governments have not proven themselves to be proactive. They haven't. This is one of the first times we would have heard that a managed position prior is being able to safeguard from calamity in a forward-moving prospect. A managed position and a strategic approach to being able to ensure that certain things are taken care of has placed us in the position where we won't see our energy cost, our electricity cost increase. And so I look forward to that. Look forward to being able to identify that and see exactly what's what. But that don't mean nothing for my car and my truck. You still got to go to the pump. And the pump, in my mind, woo. Gas prices yesterday was $5.30 on average. And diesel prices were $4.92. Esso had it at $5.32. Rubis had it at $5.31. And Shell had it at $5.34. But the gas prices, I suppose the average was about $5.30. Yeah. Yeah. It should have been $5.33. But anyway. Yeah. When we look at these things, it ain't going to be easy. It ain't going to be easy now. I don't know what you... I might as well tell you the truth. It ain't going to be an easy thing. It ain't going to be easy. It ain't going to be no kind of walk in the park. This ain't going to be like just a little... This ain't no TikTok challenge. It's going to be a time. Acknowledging that many Bahamians are concerned about the potential impact of the U.S.-Israel war and the Iran. U.S.-Israel war. My God. Isn't that crazy? U.S.-Israel war with Iran. Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis said yesterday that the administration focused on lowering food costs, keeping electricity and fuel prices stable, and maintaining broader border security. He says that the prime minister delivered a statement at the office of the prime minister on war, but did not take questions from the press. He said that he would meet with the retail grocery industry yesterday to address the reduction of value-added tax on uncooked food, which will take effect on April 1st. Following the meeting, Prime Minister Davis, in a statement last night, said that he was pleased we could find a solution so that the Bahamian will benefit from the change of VAT on unprepared foods in grocery stores. We listened to each other, and this is what he said. We worked together, we worked through the issues, and we agreed on the way forward that keeps the focus where it belongs, on delivering relief to the Bahamian families. But he did not disclose what the way forward is. He said food retailers have warned that the government's decision to exempt uncooked food from VAT is opposed to the zero rating, as opposed to zero rating it. Let's go to A6. As opposed to zero rating it, could drive up food prices. Officials have, it's going to drive up food prices. I tell you, it's a fear that I have. I can't tell you what can happen. I fear that it could drive up food prices. These officials have said their non-staff costs could rise by as much as 7 to 8% from April 1st. The war in the Middle East has prompted a surge in international oil and gas prices. When he spoke at the office of the Prime Minister earlier in the day, Davis said that the uncertainties about what could come next are putting pressure not just on oil prices, but also shipping and supply chains. For a small island country like ours, that matters. This is what he says. He says, when the fuel prices rise in global markets, that has an impact on electricity costs, freight costs, transport costs, and in time, prices in the grocery store. Absolutely, 100%. So yesterday, Iran intensifies its attack on oil, gases, production facilities in the Middle East, prompting the United Arab Emirates to suspend operations in Shah natural gas field following the drone attack. That's all we can touch from that. Let's just be very clear about these things. I'll never forget when Renwood Wells came out when we were dealing with COVID-19. You remember this? Renwood Wells had just taken on this kind of a position that he had become the Minister of Health, right? And all of us was in shock, like, Minister of Health? Okay, if you say so. Minister of Health? Did you couldn't find nobody else other than Renwood? Minister of Health, Renwood? Okay. And we just kind of dealt with it. And Renwood started to come out and talk about when they had identified a vaccine with AstraZeneca. And in identifying the vaccine with AstraZeneca, Renwood came to the country and said that, well, we had secured some things for ourselves. We sent them $250,000. He said we sent them $250,000. That's what he said. Right? And everybody was like, "Oh, okay, all right, okay." Then we heard, I can't remember which country, I think it was India, right? Sent $1 billion to the same people. Wherever your file was in this pile, whoosh, fall to the bottom. Wherever your file was in this pile. $1 billion? $1 billion? $1 billion. $1 billion. $1 billion they sent to the people. $1 billion would it be? Like big, bad, and biggity. $1 billion they send to the people. The same people that we sent $250,000 to. They send $1 billion. How can we ever find ourselves in a position of elevation if we continue to be able to contest with these? We just can't. It's a difficult thing to talk about. It's a difficult thing to look at, to dissect, to make a determination, and all these things to that. But I feel like this is some of the similar scenario where even if we're hedging, even if we're trying to find a better position, because the world, there is almost 1 billion people that are energy reliant on this oil. There could be more than that. They rely upon this oil. They rely upon this oil. And as a result of their reliance, there's a great deal of things that's actually happening. Money talks and everything else walks. And so if you don't have the finances to be able to present yourself in a particular manner to make some things happen, then you may have to just shut up in this instance. You may just have to be quiet. I was watching some stuff a little earlier, looking at it right now to be able to see if I shut it off. I'll let you hear just a little taste of it. Let me see if I can pull it up right now. Let's check it out.
Tonight, Cuba is in the dark. The entire electrical grid collapsing today as the country struggles with an energy crisis, leaving millions on the island without power. During this latest blackout, people have been spilling out to the streets here for hours. Fortunately, some cloud cover to keep them from this blistering heat. It's been 3 months since a drop of oil has reached the country. Highways are empty because...
You need to hear what's going on here. It's been 3 months, 90 days, since a drop of oil has gone to Cuba.
There's no gas. Women are delivering babies in dark hospitals with no electricity. Conditions are deteriorating. I sat down exclusively with Deputy Prime Minister Oscar Perez Oliva Fraga, considered by many to be Cuba's economic czar. His plan to attract more foreign investors, including large companies from the United States. He says Cuba is open to having a fluid commercial relationship with U.S. companies, with Cubans residing in the United States and their descendants. This person tells me it would be a breath of fresh air. And while there are people in the United States who legally do business with Cuba, Washington's trade embargo restricts many companies from doing authorized business there. Today, President Trump was asked about taking Cuba.
Taking Cuba, I mean, whether I free it, take it, I think I could do anything I want with it.
What a relationship would look like, though, remains to be seen, particularly since Congress has to vote, and many in Congress are skeptical.
I would ask and advise any Cuban that lives here or any Cuban in exile, please don't invest in Cuba. You're wasting your time.
Today, Cuban-American activists in Miami came together to send a message.
If we don't have any change in political rights, if we don't have any political guarantees, there's no economic change that's possible.
Freedom is to be able to choose your destiny. It's about Cuban sovereignty, not about business.
And tonight, those Cubans plunged into darkness will come here along Havana's iconic seawall to not only cool off, but escape the reality of the situation. Hallie?
We thank you for watching.
The world is going crazy, guys. This is not a game. This is not a game. Cuba got its oil from Venezuela. Venezuela's oil has been commandeered by the United States of America as a result of being able to capture, and with some pundits globally would identify as kidnap. They actually use this in formal settings and indicate that the United States of America has kidnapped Maduro, right? Since his capture and standing before judge and jury to be able to answer for some of the indiscretions that happened during his particular tenure and time, holding the reins of leadership in Venezuela, America, whilst that was going on, commandeered the oil from Venezuela. Venezuela produces, I think, let's get the proper accurate number. How much of the world's oil does Venezuela produce? Venezuela holds the world's largest proven oil reserve, roughly 17 to 18% of the global total, but produces less than 1%. Okay? Let's be very clear about this. Venezuela, now we can take this back far. When there was Saddam Hussein, in his particular capacity, he had this sort of a very liberal concept and idea of merits, right? And coming back to Venezuela and really trying to empower the people and providing them opportunities and building and so forth and so on. And there's sort of a rejection of America and the concept that exists in these particular areas. And we know from an economic standpoint, all oil is actually sold in US dollars. So essentially, the US dollar would always be able to stay afloat because for you to be able to purchase oil, you have to do so in US dollars. That's what it is. And so once the Americans can be able to keep that and retain that position, then the American dollar would always be able to be strong. And Hugo Chavez has taken on this kind of a position that, you know, forget America. We're looking at being able to do something internally. Let's look at, let's look throughout the diaspora. Let's look at to Africa. Let's look at different trade opportunities. Let's look at this. Let's look at that. Next thing you know, the man end up dead. Boom, gone, missing, dead. Boom. That was it. I'm not saying anything to that. I'm simply saying that this is what happened. This is what happened. Now, Maduro, captured, taken up, indicated that he was not duly elected by the people of Venezuela, and they took him, and now he's in New York and standing before, judge and jury. Tried. I believe it's already happened. I don't think it's completed. America, commandeering that particular oil, has now had to make a determination what they're going to do with that. So the White House sent all the professionals down there to make a determination as to how they can be able to extract the oil. For them to be able to build infrastructure is going to take them at least, talking about Russian and doing all these particular things, it's going to take them at least 2 years. That's 24 months. 2 years. Now, America needs its oil now. They are the same concepts and ideas of what's happening in the Straits of Hormuz, what's happening between Iran and what's happening, being able to find themselves supporting Israel, supporting Israel strongly and going after Iran and dealing with these particular matters. There are pundits who take on this kind of a concept and idea that indicate that this is an energy issue also. That Iran, who supplies oil to both China and Russia, if they cut off their oil, because there was a beginning to identify a new way to trade oil. I think they wanted to be able to put oil in yen, in the Chinese yen. Y'all need to see this is not a minute small concept of what's happening. This is big. And families losing their children after this, after a fight with corporations and conglomerates and big men. Families are losing their kids to a war for the preservation of financial buoyancy and financial overflow for certain areas. And right now, in the Kremlin, in Russia, for the very first time, they're able to, because Russia has oil also, distribute oil. And so they are becoming solvent and buoyant again and making money and so forth and so on. This is always an energy issue. Money. It's a money issue. As we look at this and we make this kind of a determination and identify these things, we have to ask ourselves, where do we fit in this? Where do we fit in this global thing? And we're all scared. We're scared. I don't know about you, but I am. I'm terrified. I don't know what it means. I don't know whether or not sovereignty even means anything in this dispensation right now. I don't know whether or not it's just a name or a word that is almost like gibberish right now. The concept and idea of sovereignty has become gibberish in the application of our day-to-day work and business in this world. It has become gibberish. It has become almost incoherent speech. No one understands this. You say sovereignty and people only hear a little lot. You say sovereignty, a little lot. No. Sovereignty, a little lot. That's all. That's the filter that goes through the minds of these staunch capitalists. Their care and concern for this sort of an idea of sovereignty is out the window. Their survivability and their solvency, their ability to always be buoyant and above everything is the only thing that matters. Is the absolute only thing that matters. And as you try to be able to riddle off your sovereignty and speak about your declarative position, let's just be very clear about this. The young man from Marvin Dames' boat the other day, let's be clear about this. The young man from Marvin Dames' boat that got caught with 440 pounds of cocaine in the back of the boat, sitting right there on the deck like an idiot. The dude ain't try to stuff the coke in the hull, nothing. He just rested right there like an idiot. Nonetheless, the young man, you know what happened? When you look at that and identify those things, America was well aware with the technology that they have, what he was doing. He got 4 miles away from Florida. It's the only reason he's still living. America, based upon information, let's be accurate before we start to talk about this. We're looking for accuracy. We just want to be able to say these things. How many boats have been blown out of the water near Venezuela with alleged cocaine? That's absolutely correct. 46. Here we go. As of early 2026, the United States military has conducted a high-volume campaign of lethal strikes against alleged drug smuggling vessels in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific, with dozens of boats destroyed. Total boat strikes since the campaign began in early September 2025, over 35 to 46 boats. That's what I heard. About 46 to 47 boats. Listening to people on their various platforms. 46 to 47 boats have been destroyed, with reports citing over 126 to 157 deaths. You listening to this? You listening or you just chilling? Listen to this. This boy only living, Mr. Goodman. He only living because he was in hometown territory. That's it. Our proximity allows America not to be able to exact their fury on us because we are so close to them. You hear me? You hear me? With recent activity is actually going on, just be able to talk about it. So it says at least 9 of the destroyed boats was in the Caribbean, with at least 3 of those specifically departing from Venezuela. Specifically departing from Venezuela. This is the operation have continued in 2026 with the United States of America military targeting multiple boats at a time along known trafficking routes, sometimes resulting in fatalities. The boy only living. He only living. You gotta be. Listen, I tell you, you can't be a criminal and dumb. You can't. Listen to me. One thing I hate is a conjunction when it comes to issues. Right? One thing I hate is an addition. I hate this sort of combination, this additive, this additional concept that and it has always been something that I dealt with from I was young. People, it's synonymous, right? People call you fat. From I was a little boy, they say you're fat. But fat, when I was young, in the 80s and 90s, early 90s, was always synonymous with sloppy. So very fat and sloppy. Black was always synonymous with ugly. So they say black and ugly. I hate this synonymous concept, this additional concept. I hate it. I hated it. I hated it. I never, I need to be fresh. I get the freshest shoes on, always clean. Smell good, haircut always good. Listen to me. I clean, I bathe, I big. I clean, I bathe, and your girlfriend like me. Trust me. Trust me. Your girlfriend like me. Don't matter what she say. She don't know yet, but she like me. And I've proven it. Praise Jesus. Many times. I'm saying this to you. I'm just be very clear. I hate a conjunction. You can't be black and ugly. Huh? And you can't be a criminal and dumb. You can't be a dummy. A thief and dummy. You can't be. You can't be. You can't be dumb and a thief. You can't be a dumb criminal. It's useless. It's useless. Proverbs tell us about that. A fool and his money shall surely depart. You can't be a dummy and a thief. I didn't say you can't be a thief. And I didn't say you can't be a dummy. You got to make a choice, sir. Do you want to be a dummy or a thief? If you can be a thief, you have to work. Figure these things out. Identify strategy. Prepare yourself. Make a determination. Read up on the news. What's going on? Who's the last person charged for this? What kind of charge did they get? Oh, you got to know what you know, sir. You can't just be a dummy. You can't just be impulsive about teeth, and you're gonna die. You're going to die. You're going to die. You're going to die. You cannot be stupid when you're doing these things. This boy ain't read nothing. Nothing. These people blowing people up out the water. We could see the thing in real time. We watching the boat. Woo, woo, woo. Boom, the boat. We can't even find the engine plastic on the top of the surface of the water. It gone. Gone. Dead. The only reason that boy living. is because you in American territory. And the Bahamas, for all intents and purposes, that is one of the benefits. Same Bahamian boy, let's be clear about this. Same Bahamian boy, and this wasn't from America, but I know that America provided intel to see where the boat is. And as a result of the intel that was provided, these people was taken care of. Same Bahamian boy from Moose Island, Shadrach Davis. Shadrach, I didn't even know Shadrach was messing with. He was a fisherman. Us all the drugs you need in this society. You get all the gals, you make some money, you get, listen to me, everything I hear, but Abaco, I went to Abaco, right? I went to Abaco to do the government 52-week program, right? I went to Abaco to do the government 52-week program, and I was one of the, I was the only trainer in Abaco, right? And so everybody had to come from Crown Haven down to the southern Abaco, the southern point of Abaco. Anybody who was doing anything, they had to find their way to Cooperstown. I was in Cooperstown, right? They had to find their way to Cooperstown. And one little church that they had just built in Cooperstown, I was in Cooperstown. And I trained these people, right, throughout the course of the program for the government, right? And so I was responsible for that, and I took it, and I did that, right? So there's about 40 people in there who would have gotten jobs, and I teach them how to do this, and I was in Abaco for about a week, maybe 2 weeks, right? And I got to Abaco, and, they sent me to Abaco. They gave me a car. They give me a per diem. They give me all these things. They give me a place to stay, all this stuff like that, right? And I was responsible for training them. And so I went there, and I did all I could do, right? And this room was full of pretty women, right? Nice-looking gals, right? And some fellas, right? Anytime you see anything to do with forward movement, education, training, opportunities, so forth and so on, you can have more women in our society than men. That's just what it is, right? So you look around the room, but no, there's nice-looking people, right? Abaco gals, right? Abaco tiger, right? Just show you in here, right? And we doing our thing. So I said, man, I'd need something to eat, man. And at the time, I wasn't eating red meat. Red meat was doing something to me. I couldn't, red meat and chicken, I was trying to be able to pull back, right? So I was eating like fish, snapper grouper, the whole thing, right? I don't like lobster. I don't eat lobster. So I said to them, I said, man, listen, man, who could cook? So somebody said, I cook, right? And somebody said, yeah, she's good, right? So they start talking, who could cook, and blah, 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 blah. Now, we had already built camaraderie. Now, you've never been to one of my sessions, right? I'm very good at this. I'm very good at this stuff. This is what I do. And I don't need to kind of toot my horn, but I know how to break ice. I know how to make you laugh and smile and talk to you about these things. I literally, whatever veil or wall that you had built up, I break it down very quickly. And we participate in these particular matters. That's the only way it could happen, that you can learn and you can grow. So we've become very familiar with persons, right? I tell them about me first. That's how I always tell them. I tell them about me, my wife, my children, my this, my that, all these things like that. And as I did that, they open up to me, right? They like it. They like this kind of a conversation, so forth and so on. So I needed something to eat. I said, who could cook, blah, blah, blah. Who cook? I said, you cook? Yeah, man. Bring me some salad and fish tomorrow. I'll pay for it. Oh, you got to pay for it, Miss Grant. I said, bring me some salad and fish tomorrow. I'll take care of it, whatever the case may be, right? So in front of everybody, they say, okay, no problem. Next they come. They bring me some salad and fish. Listen to me. That was delicious. How would you eat that? Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. I understand everybody tell me these people is cook. I didn't have a problem with it. I ate the salad and fish. So, and I just have a little party at the end of my thing. So everybody's participate, chip in a couple dollars, and I'll put the rest in, and I pay for like a little gathering. So I eat the fish. I say, man, look at this fish, was delicious. Listen to me. You cook this? And I point to, I can't remember who cooked it, the lady's name, right? She said, yes, Mr. Grant, I cook it, right? So I said, boy, thank God I'm married. And I don't keep sweetheart, because you would have had to been my sweetheart. My God, you could cook good. You're good at this. It's just joking and laughing. I expected a laugh. I going somewhere with this. I trying to make you to understand something. I expected a laugh. I expected these people to. I didn't say that because I was trying to cut up with this woman. I promise you, from here to God, I just was. I talk foolishness, right? And so I expected a laugh, and nobody laughed. It's normally a trigger. Anywhere else we go in our society, you say sweetheart, they say, oh, ha 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 ha, boy, you so silly, whatever, right? So these people, they're laughing. And then someone tapped me on my leg close. So, Mr. Grant, these women in here love sweethearting. They just need to know if you're serious about that. I said, no, Jesus, no. I said, no. I only was joking. Oh, ha, ha, ha. I said, no. I only was joking. Then they go on to tell me, Mr. Grant, you see these women right here? Well, this woman here is the sweetheart to a man who married, and that's the wife right there. That's what they telling me, all this business. You know how Bahamian people like to go. So the wife and the sweetheart is good friends. And the husband, who is a fisherman, that's I tell you all this to tell you something. This right again right here. The husband, who is a fisherman, build them house side by side. They just go down the Marsh Harbor, I think they call it Marsh Harbor up. Let's go up to Marsh Harbor together. I couldn't understand the down and the up thing. I knew that we was already up, so I thought it was down because we in Cooperstown. So I figured it's down to Marsh Harbor, but I think they say it's up. It was confusing. I didn't know what the hell they was talking about. But anyway, so they say they just go to Marsh Harbor together, the husband, the sweetheart, and the wife. I say, what? Mr. Grant, all kind of sweetheartness going in Albuquerque. I said, what? Back to my point. I didn't understand Shadrach's position to get into drugs. I just didn't understand. Shadrach was already a fisherman, and he was married. He was already exchanging and capturing and selling and distributing legal drugs. That's fish. Listen, everybody want fish. Everybody want fish. That's fish. He was making money hand over fist as a fisherman. And he got into drugs. Shadrach was murdered, killed, making a drug run, allegedly, because I don't have the depth and details, allegedly, between Jamaica and Haiti. They are not afraid to take you out. Only thing that preserved this man is his proximity to the United States of America. And if we're looking at that, America has its own agenda. We have to identify our position. I see no time to pretend with nothing. I see no time to play. I see no time to do all these things. Listen, we have to make sense about the next steps in our lives. We have to. We're going to have to make sense about the things that we're doing. There's going to be increase all around us. We're going to have to be wise. Don't be black and stupid and dumb and ugly and this conjunction, this and is too much, baby. It's too much. It's too much. This and is additional concept. It's too much. It's too much. Don't be a dummy. Don't be a fool. Don't be a dummy. And that's what I want to say to you. I want to say to you, as we look around this place, as we look around our islands, and we identify some stuff, we're going to have to do some things a little bit different. It's just what it is. We're going to have to do some things just a little bit different. it's a hard thing to be able to kind of have a conversation about, but just we're going to have to do some things a little bit different. We're going to have to be able to make a determination about our next steps. What do we do now? Where do we go now? Where do we go from here? I don't think that we've done well on our part in terms of being able to scope out and map out our next steps. We haven't. We haven't. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord, I'm looking for this thing. The people blocked me from having this Bohemian music on here. When you apply for the thing by yourself, you find yourself in a peculiar position. When you get the Bohemian music by yourself. Let me see if I can find something else. Oh, Lord, let me see. So that's just what it is. We're talking about those things. I want to be able to take this quick commercial break. When we get back, we're going to be able to dive in a few more things before we get out of here. I got to leave. I can try. Well, I don't think I can leave early today, but I can try to be able to do my best. I got to be able to be there at ZNS rather early today. We got a pre-recording that we have to do on some stuff, so I'm going to be busy with that. So we're going to have to make a determination as to what we're doing with that. And let's make some things happen. All right. I'm going to take a quick commercial break, guys. When we get back, we're going to be able to jam with you right after this. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you so very kindly for being able to listen to my non-copyright music. Yeah, I play some music. The music has copyrights now. So it's difficult for me to be able to play those music, even Bahamian music, which I recognize. We used Bahamian music, and you would have seen that when we started this back in September of last year. We used Bahamian music, and what happened is that some Bahamian music is now copyright. And as a result of the copyright, I can't play that music. So that's the difficulty in being able to do that, right? But we're here, and we're jamming with you and being able to talk about these things. Let's see if we can be able to do that. This is Howard, what happened, right? Let me see. Volume, Howard, what happened? I'm here. I don't understand. You could. I thought you could hear me. I'm sure you can hear me. Right? I'm sure you can hear me. I have the ability to turn the volume up or turn it down. And I don't want it to peak and, fuzz out. So I just turn it to a moderate range. I try to be able to be moderate because, sometimes I scream in here. So we're talking about these things and being able to look exactly in the papers and see exactly what's what. Sands claims that the Prime Minister is... Sands claim Prime Minister... in credibility crisis. The Prime Minister is in a credibility crisis. This is what Dwayne Sands says. I really don't know what to take with that. I don't know what to say, and I don't know how to feel and what to say, and how to deal with the things that I see Dwayne Sands being able to say. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm watching Dwayne, and I often just think about this sort of an idea about him in a capacity of supreme leader over the country. When I say supreme leader, I don't necessarily mean in an Iran standpoint. I just mean at the pinnacle of leadership in the country, and I just try to be able to envision whether or not these tactics, concepts, ideas will flow with him, as opposed to being able to, as opposed to him being able to let cooler heads prevail, let him put on his thinking cap. For some, his doctor training, his exposure, his experience should kick in at some point. And is he just doing this because he's being told to do this? There's a lot of things that is just going through my head. I don't know. But I know that he is a matured man. I mean, he is matriculated through a great deal to be able to acquire and to arrive where he has. He has. He's done a lot to get to this position. And then to get to this position and just kind of blurt out anything is wild. It's wild. I don't know who advised you. And, I said to, either it was Adrian or Garth, one or the other. But I said that the Free National Movement hasn't taken on the time and the task of being able to mentor anyone. They've allowed it was Adrian just talking yesterday. The Free National Movement hasn't taken on the task and really being able to form its youth and develop its youth into the next dispensation of leadership. We're not talking about people like Carlisle Bethel or Michael Barnett, or we're talking about people like Jamal Moss, right? We're talking about people like Xavier Knowles. We're talking about people who were a part of the organization, but not necessarily a part of the ilk of the organization, and may not have had the exposure from a home training standpoint to know that this is how we grow and what we do. But as a result of being exposed to the party, I've learned, if no one has said directly, how they maneuver and what they do. The Free National Movement has not taken its time in being able to develop and mentor people. Now, I felt that if afforded an opportunity, I would have found a mentor. I was intentional. I've always been intentional. I've always been intentional. I've always been intentional. And if you know me, you don't know me. I know you don't know me. But you could see, if you know me, I don't know how to give up in what I believe. If I believe it, I don't know how to give up on it. It takes some time. I don't know how to give up on it. And so I always thought that I would find, if I afforded an opportunity to be able to get into politics, I would find a mentor that can be able to help me and show me the ropes and teach me and so forth and so on. People who I look up to, right? Like, for instance, if I were to get into the PLP right now, I only heard about Brave Davis from afar off. Coming up out of Grand Bahama, finding my legs in this political space, I only heard about Brave Davis. And then I get to know him, and I get to know all his sons. I don't think I know none of his daughters, but I know his sons. And Chris and I have become very good friends. And Chris contributes to the newspaper and so forth and so on. And this wasn't because I was trying to get close to Brave. It's just that, Chris is an interesting guy. And he's very, very interested in history. And so our conversations are always wrapped around a historical standpoint and where the country needs to move forward. This is before I even thought about his father. This was long time. And as time progressed and things happened, and also the Prime Minister's brother, right? He and I have become very, very good friends. And I just gravitated towards them, and just being able to talk about him made me want to meet him. And then I finally met him. When I met him and we sat down and had a conversation, and he started to tell me about his history in Grand Bahama, and he started to tell me about all these particular things. He started to tell me about when he was in the law firm. He started to tell me this joke way before the country heard it. Unless he said it before. But he told me this joke about Brave, about Ingram and Christie and what they do. And then Lyndon Pidlin saying, "What, they didn't tell you? They didn't." Man, I laugh and I laugh and I laugh and I laugh and I laugh. And very soft-spoken. He don't raise his voice. And he has his inflections down pat. How he telling me this joke, I laughing so much, right? And this the man I was putting to work just a couple months ago. Just to shoot straight. And I say a couple months, I mean like a year into his term. I was putting him to work to talk about the duality in his leadership, and whether or not he's going to be able to ensure that there is a proper opportunity for the Bahamian people, as opposed to being able to present yourself from an international standpoint to these places, similar to what the Free National Movement does. This is not what we expect from the PLP. And I going at it, I going at it. That there's a parallel campaign that's running out there, and this is I going at it. And I'm sure that he knows about it. He's the Prime Minister. If Ingram ain't the Prime Minister, and y'all just call him when he's fishing to tell him, "Oh, Ingram, you don't know," then the Prime Minister got to know. He got to know. And so, with the Prime Minister being able to have this information, and I know that he knows because someone called my show one day, right? Someone called my show one day, right? And listen, Chris never said anything. Trevor never said anything. They know I used to put the Prime Minister to work. What, 2021, 22? I put the Prime Minister to work. Then I pulled back on putting him to work because I said that he needs to start doing some things locally and being able to do some stuff. And then I watched him starting to be able to make these moves locally, and I just pulled back. And so I started to assess him. And then I assessed the PLP closer. And then I assessed all these particular things. And I said, well, Mother Sick, he's really trying to do sort of to embody the concept and idea that exists within the PLP, or would should have been the PLP before the free FNM, before the free PLP decided to be able to sort of find their way out of this thing. It seems as though that he has a desire and a focus on being able to put this back together. This is truly impressive. That's what I said. This is truly impressive. I like this. I get to know him, and I said to myself, I would love him to be my mentor. I would love the Prime Minister to be my mentor. I said that to myself. There's some people that you look up to who would have gone through some things, who would have prepared. He didn't tell me about his successes. He didn't tell me about his failures. His history is there for all us to understand. And the indifference that you have about him is debatable based upon what you know from what you've been told and all these things like that. All of this exists out there, and I just reading. I just reading and seeing and just trying to be able to make a determination as to exactly what's what. And I said, I would love for Brave Davis to be my mentor. I said that. In the Free National Movement, I said I would love Maurice Moore to be my mentor. I said that. I said I would love to sit down with Perry Christie to hear some of his stories. I said that. Perry Christie's very good at telling these. He's very good at this. He's very good. And I would love to be able to sit around him. There's some guys out here, I admire these guys. There's some guys out here I admire. They've never wavered. If you know them to be a joker from a political standpoint, there's some people who I care not to call their name because you can say, oh, Jesus. No, there's some people who are bull skaters. They tell you, yeah, man, I got you together, man. I got you straight. Don't worry. But like a turkey. Or they tell you, well, whatever you need to hear, they can tell you that right now. Oh, man, I got you together, man. You just got to call, man. Just call me tomorrow. Call me tomorrow. I got that straight. Don't worry about that. Bull skaters. Bull skaters. Their names have changed from whatever they were given at birth to absolute bull skaters. That's who they changed their name to. Jokers, bull skaters, liars, deceitful. There's some politicians I know like that. There's some politicians and former politicians I know that are nothing but bull skaters. They are nothing but damn liars. That's just who they are. And there's some politicians that I know that stick to their word. There's a handful of them, though. I can't lie to you. I can't lie to you. There's a handful of them. And I ain't talking about no big hand. I'm talking about a handful of them that you could rely on, you could depend on, you could call on, you could trust. You have to make a determination as to exactly where you intend to be. You have to make a determination of how you want to be seen in the future. You have to make a determination of this sort of an idea for growth and development. You have to make a determination whether or not you're going to stand in this position that you are and let people know you for this thing. Or you're going to be a bull skater. For the years that I've been doing this, no matter who say what about Brave Davis, I can tell you the truth. Whether you like it or you don't like it. For the years that I've been doing this, from I was on More 94, from I was in Grand Bahama, and I was on the radio once or twice in Grand Bahama. From I was in a political space in there, right? From I was walking up and down with my mother in 2007. Before that, in 2006. From I was in this thing over 20 years. I came to Nassau, found an opportunity, did some stuff here in Nassau, got on the radio with my cousin Maggie Colebrook, did a show. We introduced Rodney to that show, hence how Rodney got his show on ZSR 103.5 with Van Ferguson, right? And Sherry. That's how he got it. That's how this is. Rodney started to do his thing there. That's how he started to do it. And we would introduce him to the show, MVM, Viewpoint MVM. That was the show. We did it on Sundays. Me and Marissa. Me and Marissa, right? Marissa is now at Beat 103.5. I think that's where it is now. And so she's doing her thing there. Let's just be clear about this, guys. Let's be clear about this. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this for a long time. And some people have been doing it much longer than I have. But I've been doing this for a long time. And not one time has the credibility of Brave Davis come into question from people who know him personally. Not one time. I'm not talking about the public. I'm not talking about the propaganda that's spewed about his name. I'm not talking about what the chat room spin about his name. I'm not talking about the punch and how they want to be able to scandalize his name. I'm not talking about none of those particular things. I'm not talking about anything those associated with whether or not he has a criminal defense capacity and his clients has anything to do with his moral compass and his position. I'm not talking about this fan and flame concept that they continue to be able to perpetuate from a social standpoint. I'm talking about people who know him. I'm talking about people who know him. I'm talking about FNMs who know him, PLPs who know him, who come on the radio, who speak about him. They never speak ill 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 about Brave Davis. They've never spoken ill about him. Not around me. I don't never hear nobody saying that. But Brave is a bullshit. Never. I never hear nobody say that. I know they say it about you. Not in a bad way. I just trying to let you know. If you didn't know, I know they say it about you. And I can tell you who they say it about. Yeah, just like how y'all talk about me when I ain't there. I know people that talk about you when you ain't there. That's okay. Some of this is come back to me, and if I fest on it and I study it, I'll be depressed till Jesus Christ come. I don't have time for that. I don't have no time. I got things to do. Listen, what you think about me ain't nothing to do with me. That ain't my business. That's your business. You got to deal with that. That ain't my business. That's your business. And I looking at it, and I just make a determination, and I say, okay. I understand. I never hear nobody say anything about Brave in terms of his credibility, in terms of any of these particular things, even in his profession, which he's now arisen to be a KC in the country, which his success could be able to indicate and show you that he does well and he applies himself significantly to what he does. I have never heard that FNM on a PLP say nothing bad about him. Now, whatever you want to say, I'm telling you, the people who was on Christie team and they were supposed to go to the convention, come and say Brave is the man. Christie would tell you, go to Brave, he get you straight. Brave is the man. Let's shoot straight and talk like this. I'm being able to do these things. I got a couple of minutes before I can get out of here. Free National Movement FNM Chairman Dwayne Sands said yesterday that the government's continued silence on the status of sale of Grand Bahama, Grand Lucaya, U.S.-based Concord, Wilshire is an example of Philip Brave Davis's credibility crisis. You know, I gotta be able to read something. I gotta read something. I can read something. I'm doing something quick. I have to do something. Let's go. Let's do this. 3 weeks ago, that's 21 days. Okay? 21 days. Let's see if that's the story that we're looking for. No. What's the boy first name? Goodman. Let's do this. Let's see if this is the one.
Security Minister now under intense scrutiny as a U.S. drug trafficking investigation could have some wider implications. Jose Etienne joining me live in studio tonight with the details. Jose?
Janea, a 45-foot vessel at the center of a major drug bust in South Florida is registered to former Cabinet Minister Marvin Dames and his wife, according to credible sources familiar with the Port Department records. United States authorities arrested Bahamian Malcolm Rashad Goodman after some 200 kilograms of cocaine were discovered on board that boat. Goodman now faces drug trafficking charges in the United States. Eyewitness News conducted its own checks and confirmed that the vessel, which is registered with the Port Department under NP 7228, is linked to a company called Real Experience Charters, a business associated with Dames. Sources tell us Goodman served as captain of the vessel. In a statement seeking to distance himself from the matter, Dames said he has no knowledge of any illegal activity and is prepared to fully cooperate with investigators. However, he did not detail the nature of his business relationship with Goodman. U.S. court documents indicate Goodman allegedly admitted to smuggling drugs prior to his initial court appearance. Whether U.S. prosecutors will expand their investigation beyond the captain, given the ownership of the vessel, remains unclear at this time. Despite the developing controversy, Dames has made it clear he will not withdraw his bid for the Mount Moriah constituency. Meanwhile, Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard is standing by his candidate.
We're going to do the assessment of it and we'll make a decision, as I've made in every single case, for every thorny issue that's been raised by the public. You pick the candidate where the issue has been thorny, and I presided over the decision being made. Pick one, any island. So I'm just saying we'll do the same. We'll do the same in this case. I do trust his integrity implicitly. But it would also be fair for you to ask about some other people who are in the race from other organizations where very serious questions have been asked.
But former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, who appointed Dames as National Security Minister, says he may have handled the political fallout differently if he were still party leader.
Under my leadership and review the records, these matters are matters of that nature would not make a second newspaper cycle. They dealt with a...
Now let's get a couple of things straight. Credibility crisis, the beginning of the conversation. Free National Movement member, Free National Movement Chairman Dwayne Sands said yesterday that the government's continued silence, continued silence on the status of Marvin Dames. On the status of Grand Lucayan and U.S.-based Concord, Wilshire is an example of Philip Brave Davis's credibility crisis. Let's just get a couple of things straight. It has now been 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. It has been 22 days since February 24th, 2026, where we found that Malcolm Goodman had 440 pounds of cocaine right there outside the 40-foot vessel registered to Marvin Dames, and he tell the Coast Guard officer that he can eat this. 6 days ago, he pleaded guilty to the charge. I think he got like 46 years. I'm not sure. I'll go back into it and check it out. The Free National Movement said not a mumbling word. And information that's floating around social media indicating Marvin and Michael Pintard being able to take on the wrong position as it relates to what's happening from an external standpoint with the Grand Bahama Port Authority and the government, and being able to side with the government. There is information floating around social media indicating that that Michael Pintard did not do what he was supposed to do. That it was a poor decision that he made in doing that. Simultaneously, we see Marvin still on the campaign trail, still being able to make significant strides, and now there is chatter associated with whether or not he's going to be indicted and being able to answer to these particular matters and identify these particular things. All these things are coming up, and everything is around there. All these things are happening right now. Right now. And the Free National Movement has not taken a decision and made a decision. as to what will happen going forward. Because you could easily come to the people and say, we've reviewed the information, we recognize these particular things, we've spoken to significant officials, both locally and internationally, about this particular posture and what could possibly happen. Nothing has happened, and we want to be able to retain Marvin Dames. We we appreciate his contribution, and we hold his integrity to the utmost, with a respect of what he would have done and his years of labor in this particular capacity. And so we know that integrity is at the forefront of what he does. So the Free National Movement is going to retain Marvin Dames. That's just your statement. The Free National Movement will remain with Marvin Dames. We support Marvin Dames. We stand behind Marvin Dames, and we want you to know that Marvin Dames is the man for your constituency, is the man for Mount Moriah. That's what you say. So you stand behind him with an irrefutable position and an undeniable position that we stand behind him as an organization, and not a shifty position, not necessarily unsure about this. We stand behind him as an organization, and this is what would happen. That has not happened from the standpoint of the trifecta of leadership in the Free National Movement. Michael Pintard has not come out and say that. Shannon Dawn hasn't come out and say that. Or Dwayne Sands. They have not come out and be able to stand firm on their position as it relates to Marvin Dames. These are serious allegations. In a time where this boy could have been blown up out of the water. He's only saved by the diplomatic community and the proximity to the United States of America. That's it. Unless we didn't even know on the day of judgment how he would arise out of that water in 8,674 pieces. That would have never happened. Just how Lot's wife was a pillar of salt, he would turn to scattered pieces of cocaine in the water. If it was any further south, they was taking you out, my brother. One way or another, they coming to kill you. That you live to tell a tale again, to tell a tale another day. And your tale is, you can eat it. That's what you say. Marvin Dames distanced himself from it, he and his wife. The F&M said nothing. I think that is a credibility issue. And then on the back of that, you can see Dr. Minnis come up and say, wouldn't make another news cycle. That too is a lie. Dr. Minnis, he won't come sit with me and things like that. I don't blame him. I mean, hey, listen, you think we here the patty cake bakers, man? I ain't got time for that foolishness. Let's be clear about this. Now, you fired Sands, but it took you 2 times to fire Sands when he was by himself. Let's be clear about this. The first time when he was in the debacle with Marvin Dames in one way or another, standing before the judge and got these sort of a tongue lashing and condemnation. He wasn't found guilty in these particular matters, but he got a tongue lashing for the affiliation of what was happening with Barbara Hanna. You did nothing. Marvin Dames retained his job. Marvin Dames was in this particular capacity, and Dwayne Sands was able to retain his job because of that. But as soon as them Q-tip and COVID-19 and he dead, the dead dog and so forth and so on, then you decided to fire Dwayne Sands. You wanted to fire Dwayne Sands a long time. And Dwayne, like he didn't know that. Minnis was out for you from your affiliation, from a political standpoint. I mean from a personal standpoint. Politically, he got to get his get back. Vengeance is mine, saith Minnis. Let's be clear about this. Let's be clear about this. Let's not pretend with it. Let's just talk about these particular things. When it comes to credibility, it's incredible. It's incredible how these people are hypocritical. The Hippocratic Oath has turned to the hypocritic oath. Hypocritical oath. Because as we look at this, it doesn't make no sense. You're watching it, it ain't make no sense. But that's it, guys. That's for the show today. I got to be able to run down to ZNS. Guys, make sure you pick up, check me out on this evening. We're going to have the round table on ZNS. Going to have a great conversation. And also, we're going to be talking with none other than all the political organizations. The Free National Movement has not indicated that they want to be able to participate in this. So I don't know where they are and what they can be doing, but this is where we are. And I'm not going to fight them. So, hey, praise God. We're going to make some things happen, guys. I want to thank you so very kindly for being able to be here with us today. This is The Foundation with Howard Grant. We're going to see you again tomorrow. God spare our lives as we continue to be able to talk about issues that has to do with what's happening from a national standpoint. I want to thank you guys so very kindly for being able to be with me, and we will see you again next time.
I have a dream where the powerful and the powerless will sit at the same table, where the haves will see the have-nots, not as burdens, but as brothers, where class will not divide us, but conviction will unite us. I have a dream that the oligarchs will remember we must all eat, that the brown-faced neo-colonialists will remember who they are and whose they are. I have a dream that fraternities will build beyond internal architecture into a national bond, that the walls of design will give way to the bridges of brotherhood, not a fraternity of symbol, but a brotherhood of substance. I have a dream that we remain focused, that we stay in our conviction and remain fearless, that we double down, fortified, to return this Bahama land to the foundation.